So let's start. Again, good morning and welcome. As I was saying before, I don't expect that we will fill up the entire 2 hours today. I just have a few things that I wanted to go through with you, and then also just open the floor up for any questions. By now, you should already have looked at and definitely received a sheet from me that had the calculations of your grades to date. If I'm not mistaken, I think I sent it to you on the evening of May the 26th. So I'll go over that again. Not anybody specifics grades, but just over how the sheet looks and what is expected of you, because the final deadline for making up any work that is still missing is June the 7th. All right. But before we get into all of that, I just want to talk a little bit just about dates, as we wrap up the semester. And so just going to the calendar, just 1 second. All right. So we're at the 2nd of June, obviously. If for some reason you need to withdraw from any of your courses, Thursday, June the 4th, is the last day to withdraw from any course with a grade of W. So please be in touch with your professors, to make sure that you know where you stand. Obviously, you already kind of know where you stand for this class because I sent you your grades to date on the 26th of May. So, we can discuss any questions that people have about their specific situations later on. But just in general, June the 4th is the last day if you need to withdraw from a course with a W grade. Then on Friday, it's reading day, and then the exam week starts. Just another point to note is that we still have this credit or no credit option available this semester. The first day to begin filing for that is June the 6th. You may not have all of your grades at that point. So as soon as you see your grades, and grades are usually shown on CUNY first, in your CUNY first account once the professor actually posts the grades. You may also see grades, on Blackboard and in other places, depending on what your professor does. For our class, your grades will come on CUNY first. And, you probably have to give me some time. Once everybody submits their stuff by June the 7th, I still have to go over everything. I'm probably aiming to have all the grades and everything submitted by the 12th of June. So the first day to file for credit, no credit. If you get receive or earn a letter grade that you think is going to be detrimental to your GPA, what you can do is change that grade to just say CR, which means you get credit for completing the class, but you're not getting an actual letter grade, which means that your GPA would not be affected by the grade that you get in that class. So so credit is for grades from A to D minus, right? You would be able to change it to just credit, whereas no credit is if you fail the class, but you don't want the F to go into the calculation of your GPA, then you change it to no credit, and then you'll have to take the class over again at a later date. Please remember that these credit, no credit options are only for transfer within CUNY schools. This is just an agreement between our schools for the semester. It doesn't have bearing on people who want to transfer to SUNY schools or people who want to transfer to private schools. If you know that you're planning to do that, then you just need to be careful about not choosing credit, no credit, and then not being able to transfer those credits. So remember, the only things that transfer, if you keep the letter grade, only a C or above transfers, right? So just bear that in mind as you look at your overall grades. And then you can contemplate this whole thing until the last day, which is July the 16th, after which you can no longer file for the credit. Um, no credit option. And the way that you file is when you go onto My LaGuardia, you will see that you are assigned, other than me, there may likely also be another person's face that says that they're your advisor. And so you just contact that person and tell them you want to opt into the credit, no credit option. If you are satisfied with your grades at the end of the semester, you don't have to do anything. All right, you don't have to contact anybody. If you see your grades and you're like, yeah, these grades are fine, then please don't do anything. You don't want to apply for credit, no credit. It's a whole long-winded process, and it's not something that's necessary if you think your grades are okay. Does anybody have questions about any of these dates as we close the semester out? Okay, so I'll move on to the next topic. Um, I just want to remind you that for those who are taking classes in the second session, I don't know if you're taking weekend classes or weekday classes, we start again on the 20th of June. Um, and if you registered for a class that you don't think you're going to take, remember, if you still want your tuition to be refunded, you have to drop that class bio before June the 19th, so that you don't end up being, losing your refund if for some reason you don't want to take the classes anymore. So just be ready for that turnaround between when, grades and stuff go in to when classes start again. It's just about a week of a break before we start again. And, that semester will go until August the 2nd, and you will have the credit, no credit option again, and then it's exams and so on. So that's the second session that will also be online. I'm sure some people are still thinking about fall and fall registration, and fall, will it be distance learning or will it be in person? At the moment, the guidance that CUNY sent out, I think in the third week of May, was a kind of still somewhat vague, because they were just saying that faculty should prepare to still be teaching via distance learning, so in other words, online in September. Um, some of what I've heard around is that we will probably be in distance learning mode again, so like online, but that maybe certain types of classes that really actually need like a hands-on situation, like let's say a science class that requires a lab, or a fine art class that requires people to actually paint or sculpt or whatever in a studio. Those types of classes may have people coming onto campus, in some type of, waves, so that, social distancing can still be practiced. From my perspective, I mean, I've been on many calls with whether it be the union or other faculty and so on, and the reality is that the amount of preparation and the amount of PPE and all kinds of things that have to happen in order for classes to resume in person in the fall. I don't think that CUNY is at the point of actually being able to do that on a whole, like a full scale level. Because we would still have to have classes that practice social distancing, and the way the college is set up right now, it's going to be a pretty heavy lift to get there. So, if you are still in, I guess, the valley of indecision about whether you should be registering for the fall, or wait it out to hear if there's going to be in-person classes and things like that. What I've been saying to students, and I'll keep saying this, is that you absolutely should register I just want to go into the calendar for next academic year. You absolutely should be registering if you think that you want to take classes, because remember, you can register and then you can still drop. If you really decide that that you in the end that you don't want to attend the classes online, or you don't want, for whatever reason you can't do things or whatever, so be it. But you can still get a tuition refund, or you can drop the classes before you have to actually pay. And the reason I'm saying this is that what's happening is, with people stalling and not making a decision about whether they actually want to take classes in the fall or not, it causes the enrollment numbers to go lower. And what ends up happening then is that, because of budget considerations and stuff, the administration starts canceling sections of classes, meaning that even in the past 2 or 3 weeks, I've had students contact me saying that classes that they wanted to take were full, because what's happening is that the administration seeing that people are not registering, and if certain classes are not filling up, they're just combining them with other classes, or they're just canceling them completely. So, where the main aim, I think, for everybody is to keep progressing in their degree and to keep, accumulating as many credits as possible. So I guess my plea to you is that if for whatever reason you are still indecisive about whether you want to go to school in the fall or not, hedge your bets by saying, I will register for these classes, and then I'll give myself some time, maybe in June and July, to think about what the plan of action is. Maybe we'll have more information by then also, but at least you've secured a spot, because it's the level of cutting of sections and stuff that's happening is pretty significant. And because of that, if you want to roll in August and try to register for stuff, the sections won't be there. And I don't know how many sections they'll be able to add, because they've already kind of told the faculty that, some of the faculty that aren't full-time, that they are not going to be teaching in the fall. So I don't know if anybody has questions about that. Please ask. I hope my logic makes some sense to you, that as much as we would want to stall and wait to see what happens, unlike in prior semesters where the sections were still staying open until the last minute, we were in May, we're just at the beginning of June, and the college is already canceling a significant amount of sections. So you, again, especially if you have a very set idea of what you want to take, the sections may not be available to you. Any questions? All right. So what I'll endeavor to do is, if and when I receive more clarity about what's happening in the fall, I'll just keep communicating with you guys. But I'm sure you're also receiving some communications from the administration. So, look out for emails and things. Keep on top of your email to make sure that you're not missing something from the administration. So again, those are the I guess admin type stuff. First day of weekday classes for next fall, September the 14th, right? So that's kind of the date that we're working towards. And remember, for June, if you're taking spring 2 classes, it is the Monday is the first day of weekday classes, June the 22nd. If you're doing weekend classes, it will be June the 20th. I don't know, if maybe you're wondering, well, I'm in a class, it has, for spring 2, it has a particular meeting day and time, and you're wondering whether your professor will actually do live lectures, on that day or time. I can't I can't tell you that because there's no standardization across the board. CUNY doesn't demand that professors deliver synchronous lectures at the time when the class was supposed to meet, and it's for the very reason that some people may not be well, some people, may have to take care of sick family members. It's like the same like with our attendance, where I say you're not mandated to attend, but I'm still doing the classes because I just want to stay connected to you guys. So if you have a class that is that you registered for in the summer, you may do well to just, if you don't hear from the professor before the class starts, to just reach out to them to ask them whether there will be live lectures and stuff, so that you can just make sure that you organize your situation appropriately. All right. Okay, so for today, again, not that much to cover because we're basically done with the syllabus, except for this elevator pitch assignment that I'll go over, which some of you have already, maybe looked at because I coordinated with Jessica to say that she could give it to people who were ahead in their work and maybe didn't have anything else to do during the wait. Sorry, this is this is not what I was looking for. Where has it gone now? Oh, there we are. All right. So last week you received a sheet from me that kind of looked like this. And obviously it would have had your particular grades in here. Anything that was highlighted in bright red, I, was trying to draw your attention to say that, something was missing here, or, something was partially done, and so on. And so for the most part, I just want to show you, for the most part, this document that I sent you last week basically mirrors the master calendar documents, right, with all the stuff that we needed to do for this class from beginning to end. So kind of the first, I guess, 4 items, and plus this majors and career stuff. The first thing was something we did in class on the first day, and then these overviews and introductions and the majors and career and transfer worksheet were all things that you submitted via Blackboard, and those were all counting a percent. And then you already know the about me is on ePortfolio. So if for some reason you don't know where something was supposed to be, it's all listed here where things should have been submitted, right? And if for some reason you had the what's written here, the 25% for your degree plan held back, it's because you needed to place that information onto your ePortfolio. So I just want to, this is pretty important for those who didn't do it. I just want to show you again. So you would have gone to planning for success, degree planning, early stage, and whatever we've, finally confirmed you were going to take as your classes for the rest of your time at LaGuardia. Sorry, this thing is a little bit slow here. You would have entered by semester over here, mirroring what was done, on the worksheet. So this is what I meant over here when I said that if you got a 0 here, it's because I'm holding the grade until you actually put it on the ePortfolio. And the reason for that is the ePortfolio will kind of, memorialize, will kind of be the place where you can store that information. If you just have a piece of paper floating around, it will most certainly get lost. Then you guys had the financial literacy and the time management and all of those things went as part of your coursework for the first year seminar for business, right? We had the virtual scavenger hunt, the time management, and then under other assignments, you put your financial literacy assignment. And then the making connections reflection, I think most people on this call did that. But if for some reason there's confusion about that, it's just over here. Everything was early stage because we're at the beginning of your time here. The campus exploration was what we did together in class, so most people were okay with that. If not, then remember everything that we ever did is basically on the various Zoom calls, right? So if you weren't a part of the class that day and you still want to catch up on the work, the assignment is right there. And of course, you at any time you can email me to ask for help. And so the assignment that was due just before I started going through to look at what everybody had done was this co-curricular reflection, exploring opportunities. So a few people had not done that. So I just want to show you where that is. It's also in planning for success. It's under co-curricular planning. And Jessica may have done all this with you on Thursday also, but it doesn't hurt to just repeat it. So it's, yeah, co-curricular is exploring opportunities. And basically what it's asking about is if you consider things like clubs, volunteer activities, part-time employment, internships, research, study abroad, family responsibilities, you're choosing two opportunities out of these and saying what specifically do you think you will be doing if you're involved in this, what skills and things will you develop, and how can those relate to your academic and career interests. You may recall from the week when we were talking about co-curricular activities, and we had that video of Stephanie saying how she got involved on campus, and I was telling you that eventually she's actually now an employee at LaGuardia. She's a graphic design major, and she does a lot of the graphics for ePortfolio and things like that. So we're talking about how can the activities that you do outside of the classroom positively impact your skills and knowledge and maybe help with your career and so on. And when we spoke about these things, we'll remember Andel was talking about Phi Theta Kappa. Other people were, talking about clubs that they may be interested in. And then, of course, the semester is a little bit odd because everything's happening virtually. But I also gave you a list of virtual, virtual co-curricular activities that were happening on the campus. So that was for 5%. A number of people had not done it by the due date. So there was a 0 there, but you still had time. So I just want to reiterate that I've been incredibly lenient this semester for good reason, because we've basically been, in the midst of a global pandemic, health crisis and an economic crisis rolled into one. So, I'm putting the date of June the 7th for everything, even though, even the resume was due on May the 31st. My hope is that people actually did that. But even if you didn't do it yet, you still have an opportunity to get everything done by June the 7th. So what I wanted people to do, and instructed Jessica about this, is when you are ready with your resume, I want you to make a separate tab at the top, and she would show you this in Thursday's studio hour. You make and I mean, it's easy to do it. You just basically unlock the spot and just add a tab. So you add a tab that says resume and actually upload your resume to that separate tab, just so that you have it handy and it doesn't get lost in between all the first year seminar coursework. And then the final video presentation you can upload under first year seminar coursework, and you can just put it under other assignments. I believe I gave that instruction in the document. So those were the grades to date. It was out of 90 because when I did it, these two items were not yet due. So you would have seen what your grade was and what you could do to if need be, improve the grade. If for the most part, I was just concerned with people who either hadn't done something at all, or it was so partially done that they weren't getting, the level of grade that they could have. Does anybody have questions about this?
Yeah, Professor, how are you today?
Fine.
This is Jonathan.
Speaking. Okay,
Can you
Jonathan.
explain how do we upload the resume on the portfolio,
Yeah.
please? Thank you.
So I guess what I was trying to say was you could add, let me see if I can do it. Well, no, this is not where I need to be. I need to be here. Sorry, Jonathan. So if you're in your own e-portfolio, right? So when you click on this unlock thing, right, then it's opening up this area over here to you. So then you can see here that now you're in a section over here where you could potentially add stuff, right? To the, I guess, to the tabs. So what I was hoping was, and I may have to give, I guess, a more detailed. Would it help if I can speak to Jessica? I can send you a more detailed listing step by step of how to do this, because basically you have to add a section which you will call resume, all right, and then so then the resume section will kind of look like all of these others, and then within that you're just going to upload. So let's say this was the resume section. You're just going to upload your resume, wherever. Either add what do you call it? Not a slide. You could either add a slide by again unlocking wherever you want the slide to be. So for instance, here you could add, it's going to tell you that, what do you want to add? And so you can search either the template or go into your own computer and find your resume and then upload it and always click publish changes. I don't know, that was like the very fast version of explaining it. Like I said, I don't know that it's helpful to do it quickly here. Would it be more helpful if I give step-by-step instructions sent out via an announcement?
All right, thank you. That's fine.
Is that better? I mean, I don't know that,
yeah.
that it's, because otherwise I now have to go and look for, let me see if oh, so this is coming up here. This is not what I want. Okay, so even I'm confusing myself now. So maybe it's better if I just go and set this up so that whatever instructions I give you are going to actually get you over here, because it's supposed to go here as an extra tab. All right. So I'll do that, and I'll make sure that you get that by or before Thursday, so that you can upload the resume in the class on Thursday if you plan to attend. Is that fair? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, so you're good? I'll
Yeah,
send
I'm
you
good. Yeah,
something.
I'm good.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it's fine.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if you. All right. So anything else to do with this grade sheet other than getting instructions for uploading the resume? All right. So let's go into the elevator pitch assignment, and I'll walk you through it, and then we can, and that one is not as involved about where you need to upload it. You'll just upload it in the first year seminar coursework under other assignment in the same place where you uploaded the financial literacy reflection. So, okay, let me just get the elevator pitch going here. So this is a part of the oral presentation that shows up in the syllabus as well. I'm saying 90 seconds. I'm not going to mark people down if it's much shorter than 90 seconds, but I think 60 seconds is probably the minimum that you're aiming for. So 60 seconds, 1 minute, right? Don't go too far over 90 seconds. This is not supposed to be like a full speech, that you're making, that how you would normally make maybe at the end of the semester in a class. This is just, this is as if you were meeting someone maybe in front of an elevator and waiting for the elevator to come and then riding up with them in the elevator. It's going to be no more than a minute to a minute and a half, okay? And I don't know if people have heard of this terminology before of an elevator pitch, but it's exactly what I said. You are imagining that, let's say you're at some building, some business, and you happen to run into someone who's working at a company maybe that you want to work at, and in the time that you have while you guys are in the elevator together, you have an opportunity. Maybe they ask you, hey, who are you, or what are you doing, or where are you from, or whatever the case may be. You have an opportunity in that short period of time to basically introduce yourself to them in a way that would make them interested to to get to know you more, maybe ask you for a resume, hire you, or something like that. Another place where this type of pitch is also helpful is maybe if you're at a networking event, and you see, someone there because, everybody has name badges and maybe the companies that they are affiliated with, and maybe you've always wanted to work at that company, and you see someone at the event. Obviously, you're not going to walk up to them and be like, "Hi, I'm Andrew Francis, and I did this and that." And you might first, just say, "Hi, how are you?" and nice, nice event or whatever. But eventually, they may ask you, "So, what's your story?" or "Tell me about yourself," or something. Then this is the type of quote unquote speech that you want to have ready, so that you're not mumbling and stumbling over yourself to try and figure out in that moment, how you're going to I guess present yourself / market yourself to this person. And for some of you, maybe this is not, maybe doesn't seem as relevant because you're not yet there. Maybe you just started your education, but the reality is that opportunities come along all the time, and it's best to be thinking about this, before the time than, trying to think on your feet when you might get really stressed out because whoever you're speaking to is someone you really admire and so on. The last scenario that I'd give is maybe also if let's say you meet someone and maybe you've met them a few times or whatever, but you realize that you really admire them and that they are someone who maybe has a career or something that you aspire to, and you would like to ask them to mentor you. This is also the type of, elevator pitch could also be the type of thing that helps you to get your thoughts together as to who you are, what your goals are, what your background is, and why it is that they should consider mentoring you. So again, this was previously due on June the 4th, but sorry, here's the date. But because of the fact that we didn't meet last week, which I've kept forgetting about, I extended the date to be June the 7th, because I, just want to make sure that people have enough time. Where's this thing now? Okay. That people have enough time to think this through and then also to actually record it and upload it. So logistically, what's going to happen is you probably spend some time writing out a little speech, based on what I'm going to show you now and what we will discuss. Writing out your speech, you'll probably practice it a few times, maybe in front of a mirror. Then I'm talking about like literally either balancing your phone on a desk or a set of books or something, or holding the phone up. Or asking somebody else to hold it up, or if you have a video camera, doing that. But we're just talking about recording your own video. This is not something that you have to come and make the presentation to me. You're recording your own video. If you watched it and you don't like it, you can delete it and start again, and do it as many times as you like. But the whole point is just to get it onto your e-portfolio at the end, and publish changes and make sure that someone who's looking at the published view of your e-portfolio can actually see it. So when I say published view, I'm saying this, right? You go to the top of the e-portfolio. Sorry, everything seems to be like super slow. Oh, I need to probably lock the, sorry. So here's published changes. So if I made any changes, I can see this, right? But I haven't published the changes. So anybody looking at the published view of this e-portfolio is not going to see, gosh, it's really slow, coach. Okay. All right. So I guess, yeah, so now I'm in the published view. Do you see how that resume uh, boo-boo that I made, where I put the resume at the top, it wasn't there? I mean, it seems like the change is published now, but what I want you, well, this, I don't know, yeah, the education seems to be really slow. Okay, so it is what I'm saying. The published changes does not bring that word resume up here because I have not publish the changes at all. So remember, when I'm reviewing your e-portfolio, I'm only seeing what you actually published. So your best bet every time you update work based on what I told you was missing or whatever is to click on published view and to go to whatever it is that you thought you did and make sure that you actually that whatever you did is actually reflecting. Because let's say you did the work for the video and you uploaded the video, but you didn't click publish changes, all I'm gonna see is blank. All right, and then it looks like you didn't do the work, and then I'm gonna have to contact you to say, I still don't see the work, and it's a pain for everybody involved. So like I said, in the unpublished view, there's the word that I typed, but in the published view, it it doesn't appear. All right, so bear that in mind when you're doing the video. Okay, and I give you instructions here about where to upload the video. Normally, if you're recording on your phone, you should be able to download the file, and you can just post or upload the file to the ePortfolio. I'm not necessarily concerned with what file type you use, as long as the thing can play when I see it. For the most part, I think people try to use file types that are kind of universally recognized, not just specific to one operating system. So whether you're talking about MP4 or I can't remember all the other file types, but there are a few that should be able to apply across the board. If you don't know what's going on or you have a big problem with being able to upload the file, you can also just contact me and I'll try to help you. And so here's just a brief, explanation of what an elevator pitch is. It's a message when you're networking, your opening statement, the foundation of this. Sometimes you go to an interview and someone says, "Tell me about yourself," and it's really annoying because it's like, okay, where do I begin? I was born in 1980 in Cape Town, South Africa. That's probably not as far back as they want you to go, but the reality is that if you don't have something ready, then you could end up talking about things that don't really strengthen your case for getting hired. So the scenario again is, if you stepped on an elevator and had 90 seconds to tell someone about yourself, this is the prepared speech you would give. When they say extemporaneous speech, it just means that you can still use, when you do the recording, you can use notes, but don't use them to just read off of them, and not look in the camera. It should sound like a conversation. So the only way that ends up happening is if you practice the speech more and more, right? If you do very little practicing, it's going to sound kind of stilted and maybe like you're just trying to get it over with as soon as possible. Imagine that you're talking to a friend or talking to a family member or whatever, to maybe calm your nerves a little bit and make it sound like you're having a conversation. And yes, you can have notes, but don't let the notes govern you in the sense that you want to still be looking at the phone or the camera or whatever. So it's a brief speech. Like I said, it can be as low as 60 seconds, but don't go above 90 seconds. You can time yourself to make sure that you're not going over or too under. Um, Again, don't give your whole life history, but you can give a background of yourself, a discussion of some of your goals for career and academic. And these are things that we all discussed in the class already, right? How do you, what degree are you doing at LaGuardia? What do you plan to do when you transfer? What kind of work are you hoping to do? What are some of the skills and interests that you have? Those things have also been surfaced now during our work, even in the SWOT analysis. You were able to look at some of your strengths and so on. So you just pull some of those things in. You don't really need to start writing something from scratch. A lot of these things are already part of the work that you produce for this class. Um, you're a short recap of who you are. You need to be persuasive. Think about it. If your dream job, the person who's in charge of that company is in the elevator with you, you don't want to sound like you couldn't be bothered. Oh yeah, I'm doing this, but it doesn't really matter, whatever. You want to be persuasive and be really compelling so that the person can get interested in you. And yes, your skills need to um, to be discussed. And if you want to, I'm not saying that this is a must. I'm not looking for it in the grades, but if you want to talk about skills more, then you can refer back to some of the skills that we discussed that employers are looking for when we were discussing, how to match what LaGuardia is teaching you to what employers are looking for and the skills that you already have. So things like uh, being able to communicate, being able to work in teams, being able to problem solve, understanding different cultures, being professional, leadership, all of these things are, part of the critical skills that employers are looking for. If you can't remember what they were, you can see them over here in this NACE survey. Remember, that was the week when we were also discussing Google and the fact that they realized that they were looking, a lot of the people who were successful at Google were actually good at problem solving and integrated learning as opposed to just good at science. And then the practicing, right? The best way to feel comfortable with a speech is to keep practicing it so that it just sounds natural. It doesn't sound like you are, just regurgitating something or you're just reading off a piece of paper. And remember, this is not just for me or for this class. The more you practice this talking about yourself, the better it becomes, obviously. And eventually, these are the types of things, along with the resume, that you could be using in a job interview, right? So don't think of this just as, oh, I'm just checking the box so that I can get this class over and done with. This is actually to do with improving yourself and making life easier for yourself should you suddenly get a job interview, in the near future. So some of the things to include, that you obviously talk about college, anything that's important, relevant in terms of hobbies or travel, internships, jobs, courses, etc. Something interesting that you may have done. Are they, time permitting, maybe there's some type of assignment or activity that you really want to highlight for this person. If it makes it easier for you, you can really also think about, a company where you'd like to work and direct your elevator pitch towards someone working at that company. So maybe you want to work at a marketing company and you took a marketing class and you were engaged in an assignment to do marketing for, a firm here in New York, then that would be something that you would bring up that's relevant. For me, it would have been that I wanted to work in corporate finance and I took many finance classes. So I would bring up the fact that I had to do, a finance class about, let's say, derivatives. And so I will talk a little bit about the assignments that I did in that class because it directly relates to the job that I'm trying to go for. So this doesn't mean that you just talk about any old assignment or whatever. You're trying to link it to the work that you want to do. Um, you can even talk about assignments that we did in this class. So let's say you think that you maybe want to become a financial advisor, and you say, oh, we had in this first year seminar, we had a week where we discussed financial literacy, and I really thought it was interesting, and I'm studying further to figure out how to do budgets and to invest, and et cetera, et cetera, and be enthusiastic. I know you're sitting there in a room probably recording yourself on the phone, but again, maybe if you can picture your dream job and you're talking to someone who's doing that, it will bring some more enthusiasm. Don't include things that really aren't going to be relevant to a professional person who you're talking to. So, it just it's not necessary. Also, obviously, try to use proper language. You don't want to use any type of slang terms or things of that nature. Um, and then, they're talking about like things that you may have done in high school or whatever may not be as relevant. But again, I would counter here to say that it's possible that you may have done something in high school that led to your interest in what you're studying now and, got you excited about it. You'll see as you progress through your career, things that happened earlier on become less and less relevant. So, for me, when I was first trying to get hired, everything that was important was what I was doing at university. Then, as I went from one job to the next, the people stop really caring about, they want to make sure you have whatever qualifications you need, but no one's asking me at this stage, which assignments did you do at college that were important. They asking me about the work that I did at my previous job. So similarly, try to think about things that you're doing at college or outside of college. When you're recording this, I mean, I'm not going to be super strict, but you are actually doing a video. This is not an audio recording, so try to, make yourself just look presentable. It doesn't have to be a suit or, things like that. I understand we're in very extreme circumstances. Some of us aren't even able to get to the laundromat at times. So whatever you can do to just look decent, that would be great. No caps and, things, hats and swimsuits and whatnot. Just try to keep it business casual. The environment, listen back to what you record, so there's not a lot of like noise from around the house. There might be, and that's fine. I'm not going to knock people down for having background noise or kids screaming or whatever. We're in a pandemic. The issue with the background noise is just that sometimes you can't hear what the person is saying because there's so many things going on in the background. So for me, it's again not about having the perfect uh, video. It's just limiting the noise so that I can hear what you're saying. So this is the points breakdown. Using appropriate and professional language. This doesn't mean you're going to look for, every difficult English word that you can find and every technical term that you can find. That's not the point. It's just saying that you want to sound like you're actually talking to someone who may potentially interview you or be busy interviewing you. You're not having a casual chat with your buddy across the hall. This is, proper business discussion. And then also, there's points for thinking deeply about how to bring yourself across. So it's not just surface level. So, what I mean is really trying to think about the important things that have happened, I guess, in your life, academic or career, and how they weave together to make you who you are. Doesn't mean that it has to be, every little thing that happened, but believe it or not, for someone like me, it becomes fairly obvious when people are kind of just rushing through something to get it over and done with, and you can tell that there hasn't been a lot of thought about how their life has contributed to the skills and knowledge that they have. And then it's like, how are you presenting. Don't read from your notes. Be enthusiastic. Make sure that the content that you're delivering is organized, meaning that you don't want to jump from one thing to another. Think about what it is that you want to include, right, in this in the talk, and write it out and practice it and move things around that don't make sense, so that it sounds like a coherent speech, not just, oh, and then this happened or then that happened. You want to sound like it's flowing, I guess, is the point. And I'm not going to read all of these. I actually have a video that I'll just show here. But you can read these as examples of how an elevator pitch could go. I mean, I haven't read them and timed them. They may not be as long as they need to be or whatever, but the point is you could model some of what you're writing after this. And as I said, you've already, weeks ago said which type of jobs you want to do. Maybe you want to be in healthcare management, you want to be an accountant, you want to be a financial analyst, or whatever the case may be. You can work that into the discussion, and put the company name in there. I mean, if you want to go and work at Google, or you want to work at Tesla, or wherever you want to work, put the company's name in, so that maybe it will help you to actually picture what it is that you'll be doing. And again, obviously, you can contact me if you have questions about the whole thing. So it's 5% of your grade. I made it a lower stakes. In the old syllabus, it was going to be a little bit higher, but because we're at the end of the semester, I know that people are under a lot of pressure. I just didn't want to make it, so high, and then you maybe don't have the support that you need, because we only have the one more studio hour coming up. So does anybody have questions about any part of this assignment before I just play a short video relating to elevator pitches? All right, so it seems like it's obvious enough what you have to do. If there are still questions that you want to ask at the end, sorry, feel free. Now I'm just going to unplug my headset here, because I think the last time I shared a video, I still had my earbuds in and you guys couldn't hear. So just bear with me as I set up this video for elevator pitches.
In this video, we'll go over some great elevator pitch examples for students. If you don't know what an elevator pitch is, check out my video, How to Make an Elevator Pitch. To successfully network and advance your career, you need to be adaptable. That's why your pitch will change depending on who you're talking to. Luckily for you, all you need to change is the call to action at the end. The goal of every elevator pitch should be to set up a better time to meet or talk, or to get the contact information for someone directly involved in the hiring process. If you're already speaking with someone involved with hiring, your pitch should open up a constructive conversation. It's then your responsibility to either land an interview or take the next step in the process. Let's run through some common examples of elevator pitches in different situations. Let's start with a classic example. Imagine you're at a career fair speaking with an HR representative or recruiter for a company you'd like to work for. These people are very much involved with the hiring process, so you can be direct. As you'll recall from my video on how to make an elevator pitch, your pitch should be structured like this. Number 1, who you are and what you've been doing lately. Number 2, what makes you unique. Number 3, your goal. And number 4, your call to action. Number 1. My name is Tony Thompson, and I've been a member of the Finance Club at Super Sweet University for 2 years. I'm currently running this year's stock pitch competition. I'm at my best when I need to solve a complex problem by analyzing and focusing on the most important information. I want to land a spot in the Investment Banking Analyst Summer Internship Program at JP Morgan this summer. Here's a copy of my resume. What type of candidate are you looking for? This example is a great way to start off a constructive conversation about yourself and the company. For me, the shorter you can make an elevator pitch, the better. This example is concise, informative, and most importantly, conversational. Now you just have to close on getting an interview. Another common situation is speaking with an employee of a company you'd like to work for. This person can usually put you in contact with someone in HR or a recruiter, but engaging them directly about the hiring process might not be productive. Hi, my name is Andy Anderson, and I'm a senior at Austin College. I interned at XYZ Marketing Company last year, and I learned a great deal about social media advertising and branding. Over the last 3 months, I've helped a campus coffee shop increase their sales by 20% through my social media marketing campaigns. I'm focused on getting the digital marketing analyst position at Amazing Media after I graduate. Here's my card. Who would you recommend I speak with at Amazing Media to learn more about the opportunity? With this approach, they understand who you are, what you're interested in, and that you can produce results. It's unlikely they'll have any reservations about putting you in touch with the right person. At times, you'll find yourself at an event, and during casual conversation, someone will ask you about your career plans. Classic, right? You might not know much about the person. They could be involved in the industry you're looking to break into, or not. Either way, choose a good approach to leverage that situation to advance your interests. My name is Joe Jacobs, and I'm a junior at Really Cool College. Right now, we're learning how to use advanced analytics in the sales process. In our sales competition last month, I was the highest selling student by over 20%, and I used advanced analytics to help achieve that result. My goal is to become a commercial salesperson at Bridgestone after I graduate. Do you know anyone at Bridgestone or in the tire industry that I can connect with? Not everyone will be able to help you, but if they can, hand them your business card so you can get connected. This is the perfect way to turn small talk into a potential career opportunity. Get a business card with your contact information on it. Yes, even if you're a student, it's much easier in informal situations to use that rather than whipping out your resume. Remember to read the situation and be prepared to change your approach if necessary. If your interaction has to be brief, hand them your business card so you can connect at a later time. Let me know if there's other situations you'd like me to cover. If you have questions about your situation or the strategies we just talked about in this video, let me know in the comments section. Or if you have any other suggestions for videos you'd like me to cover, just let me know. Be sure to subscribe to watch my other videos about career advancement and making money.
All right, so that was just, one example of how to make an elevator pitch. I thought the way this gentleman was speaking was quite accessible. So you decide how you want to frame this. Like I said, you could imagine that you're speaking to someone who is working at a company that you really want to work at. You could imagine, like you said, that you're at a career fair at LaGuardia, and a whole lot of employers are there with their tables out and discussing what they do, and you may want to approach them. It really doesn't matter. Whatever is comfortable for you. And like I said, a minute is also okay. I just put 90 seconds in case people, still want to add some extra stuff that they want to do, but I would not go under a minute. I think a minute at least will give me some idea of your level of preparation and also your presentation skills. Today seems to be like not the day for questions, but I'll just ask again, any other questions that people may have regarding the elevator pitch, due dates, structure, how to upload it. I can also, provide information about uploading videos to ePortfolio if that would be helpful. Tell me now how I can help you if need be. All right, so I'm not hearing any pleas for help, so I'll take it as everybody knows what's going on. The last thing to do with the portfolio, something I forgot to mention that I'll just mention now is, in speaking to some of you who responded to the grades today that I sent you, I think it was Anastasia who said that they had, or that you had not been instructed, or you had been instructed to not complete the checklists. And so apologies if there was some type of miscommunication when I assigned the, you know, the career and the transfer pages for you guys to complete with Jessica. It was my intention that you would also complete the appropriate checklist related to where you are in terms of credits. So on your grade sheet, you would have seen that, I mean, the grade that you would have received was fairly high for most people, but if you do want to raise the grade even higher, these are the checklists that I was referring to. So if you're, let's say you're in the 16 to 45 credits, you know, you can just check off the things that you have actually done. I'm not talking about, you know, now going and doing extra work. Like, let's say you don't have a LinkedIn profile yet. You know, I'm not trying to say that you absolutely have to have one. I just wanted to make sure that for the purposes of our class, that people are actually seeing, you know, the types of things that are expected based on where they are, you know, in their academic process. So, for instance, I may have only done 3 out of all of these things. That's okay, but this is giving me the nudge to say, oh, you know, oops, sorry, some people at this stage may already be looking for internships, or they may already be building a proper resume and interview skills and whatnot. So maybe I need to be thinking about how I can, you know, begin to do that myself. And with the transfer page, where I also said to some people that they had not yet done the work, some people hadn't completed this piece about credentials. Remember, everyone's not going to go to a doctorate degree, a PhD, so you could just put not applicable. If you do plan to get a master's degree, then you can put in whatever the master's degree is. And so, yeah, there's also checklists here, right, about transferring. Again, I don't expect that you necessarily did everything that is listed here. The point is to expose you to, you know, the types of things that people are thinking about at these various stages in their time. Don't, you know, be like, I've had students who are basically almost out the door in some of my other classes, obviously not in this class, but in some of my other classes, I've had students who are basically out of the door, basically done, and they have not yet applied. They know they want to go to, let's say, Baruch, for instance, but they have not yet even begun the process of applying to transfer, and don't know anything about, you know, what the deadlines are and so on. And the worst thing that can happen there is that, you know, that person then misses a deadline and ends up having to defer for a semester because they can't get into school, you know, on time. So when it comes to transfer, yes, you say Queens and you say Baruch or whatever, but the point is, you know, have you actually gone to the transfer website to see, you know, what's on offer, to see what the process is, etc. So that was why I still noted on you guys' sheets that, you know, in as much as it is possible, you still want to take a look and check off the boxes in the checklists for things that you've actually accomplished. And if not, you know, if you haven't done certain things, that you will hopefully remember that they need to get done. So I'm still going to be around, you know, because I'm your advisor for the semester for the most part. I mean, I know some of you are in ASAP and all of that, but I'm here as a support. If you still have some questions around registration or which classes to take or advisement and so on, but just to be clear that moving forward, you know, from the spring 2/the fall, you will then be assigned to someone else, whether it be a professional advisor or a faculty advisor or a peer advisor. That will be, you know, the next stage of people that you will be able to lean on for support. All right, so anything else here that people want to know from me before we close this out? Okay, so like I said, aim to finish everything by the 7th of June. You have your class with Jessica on Thursday. Thursday's the last day of class, so you still have a class with her. She can still help you. Let's say you actually finish the elevator pitch before Thursday, she could help you to upload it to your e-portfolio. I will, however, to Jonathan's point, I will send out a document that will give you step-by-step instructions on how to upload that video so that it doesn't become a problem, more of a problem than it needs to be. And so this is where we leave it. Thank you for staying the course this semester. I know it hasn't been easy for many of you, myself included, and we've been through a lot, but I'm grateful to have been able to teach you in this time. It was my absolute pleasure, and I wish that we were obviously in person, because there's just a different effect for this class, specifically teaching it in person than online. But I still am very grateful that you saw fit to keep attending, and I hope that there were things that were shared in this class that were of value to you, not just for the sake of the class, but also for the rest of your time at LaGuardia and wherever you are headed to next. So I wish you a lovely day. We'll end early today because that's all I have to say, but I can stick around for a bit if people have specific questions for me. I mean, I'm not really going anywhere. I just want to dismiss those who don't have any questions, because I understand that time is precious since this is the last week of class, all right? So you'll hear from me via Blackboard, but other than that, again, a pleasure. I wish you everything of the best.
Hey, Professor, it's Elena.
Hi, Elena.
Are you going to send another list, per se, like the one that you sent us via email with the work we were missing, with the work we've updated?
So what will happen is this, Elena, after this, so the 7th, 11:59 is the cutoff, right? So on the 8th, basically, I'll go in and I'll go and look to see for each person where there were gaps, whether those gaps were filled or not, right? So let's say you had 2 things that were outstanding. I'm going to go in and look specifically for those 2 things. If I don't see them, you will hear from me and I'll say, look, because like I said, with the e-portfolio, sometimes people forget to publish changes. So I'll say, look, I went in, Elena, and I went to look for your resume, and I went to look for the co-curricular reflection, and I don't see it there. Can you, advise, publish it or whatever? So you will have another chance to remedy anything that wasn't there. Before, at that point, if I don't hear from people, let's say I go in on the 8th and I tell you that, there's nothing here or whatever, then I'll give you a day by then to say, please publish the changes so that I can see it by, the 9th or whatever, or the 10th. And then you'll have that time. And so this is not an extension of the deadline. If the work wasn't done, it wasn't done. It's more just that I need to give you, 24 hours or whatever to make sure that I can see it. And then at that point, your grade will change. If people are unresponsive and don't do the work, then the grade is as it stands on that sheet. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So
Yeah.
we have one more class next week?
No, this is it. Today,
Okay.
You have a class on the 4th with Jessica, but you don't have another class with me. We're done, because the 4th of June this week is the last day of class.
Oh, okay.
So there's no official final exam or something where you need to come to the class to do something. I'm not having people present live on Zoom because, anything can happen right on Zoom. So that's why you will just do your video in your own time. Make sure it's up by the 7th. But we're done. As of today, my part of our class, this is our last class. You just attend the studio hour. if you can, on Thursday, because if there are things that are missing in your e-portfolio, Jessica can also help you with that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okie dokes. Other questions, folks?
So, Professor, all we have left is the elevator thing, and that's it.
Yeah, because you did everything. I don't think because when I checked, obviously the resume wasn't due yet. I'm assuming you've done it, and I'm
I
not
submitted
sure
it last night.
Yeah. So you are on track to only be needing to do the elevator, and then you're done with this class.
When is that due? When is
the 7th? As of now, anything that is not done properly or is not done at all is due on the 7th of June. But of course, you can submit it before the time if you want to. Okay.